It's now time to bring it all back. That's right. It's season 2 of Behind the Comicbook Podcast with Mr. 845 Social. Brought to you by Icon Comic Con.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. 845 Social here, and we're interviewing another comic book creator. This is for the Behind the Comicbook Podcast. This is Matt Casper. Tell us who you are and what do you do?
Hi, my name is Matt Casper. I'm co-creator of a webcomic called Sacrificing Sanity. It started actually back in 2010, went on and off for about 5 years. Basically, a group of people in a fictional town based on the real town I live in, having some kind of wacky, little wacky, I don't want to say misadventures, because there's no like linear storylines that we did. We just kind of did like a joke per a joke or a couple jokes per page, but just kind of funny, very witty, sometimes a little mean. Our humor did get a little mean a few times, a little more than a few, but just situations our characters would get into. And it was co-created with one of my longtime best friends, Anthony Chardulo. And as I mentioned, we worked on it on and off for about 5 years. We haven't really produced any new comics. We've, I want to say for the past, because it was about 2019. So around about past 7 years, we've been trying to push it toward animation.
Okay. So before we get into the comic book, right, I want to make sure that at least people get the socials. So if there's a case that they want to support the webcomic, they want to be able to support you as a creator, how exactly would they do that?
Well, definitely check out the comic, sacrificingsanity.com. It does look kind of, the site doesn't look as flashy as other webcomic sites right now, because when I made the thing, both versions of it, I made it in iWeb on my very old MacBook. So it does need an upgrade. I'm trying to find someone who can help me with that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of artists that are out there and web designers, so we'll definitely have to talk after this and hook you up with some good details there. But let's kind of get into the beginning, right? So have you always been a comic book creator or a comic book fan? When did this love of comics and web comics, when did that first start?
Well, I mean, I've always loved comics. I read them throughout, through my childhood, throughout high school, and of course, loving watching cartoons. And that's what really drew me to starting drawing. And of course, a lot of my influences were like Hanna-Barbera, classic Disney, because this was shortly after the Disney Renaissance had ended that we started doing this. And of course, one of the biggest influences in my life, in my artistic life, is Bruce Timm, because I love Batman the Animated Series, Superman, Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, and so on. Like his art style definitely inspired me.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. So going into comic books in general, when did you transition from a fan to a creator?
Well, I want to say around the mid 2000s, I had been toying around with starting my own IP, and just, going through different iterations, trying to figure out what I wanted. And then when I started working with Anthony, we just kind of started, throwing ideas off of each other and, just seeing what sticks, or, if this is funny, oh my God, this is even funnier. That kind of got me going more. I started drawing more. I started defining what I wanted. An interesting point on this. Originally, I didn't want to have a specific art style for the comic. and wound up developing one that just naturally happened. And so if you check it out, you'll actually see the evolution. You go like back to around the first page, and then you start seeing maybe about page 50, you start seeing that like it's all kind of gelling toward a style. And I've kind of stuck with it since. But yeah, and honestly, the goal for it, like right at the beginning, was we wanted to do animation. But it was the early 2000s. Like doing animation outside of a big studio was not like a feasible thing unless you were on Newgrounds making little flash animations. And even then, they weren't all that great until they definitely didn't look like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, but because that was done completely in Flash. But yeah, the goal was always animation, but Anthony said, "Is like, well, why don't we start it as a webcomic?" It's like, okay. And we were reading at the time before the whole controversy happened about it was Control Alt Delete and Looking for Group, which Looking for Group I very much enjoyed until they started taking the tone away from jokes in every panel or every page to going more serious. I think at that point we both fell out of it.
Okay.
But those were inspirations for us. With adult animation, at the time we were inspired by Family Guy. And shows like that. Not for me, not so much anymore, but that's for something for later.
Yeah. No, with the actual comic itself, I mean, it gels very, like the art style is very Rick and Morty type of look to it, but not as raunchy as you will, right? Because I know Rick and Morty kind of take it on a whole nother level. But the premise of your comic and kind of like where it comes from. You said it was based on your hometown.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say what your hometown is?
I mean, I don't know how much level of doxing I'll be wind up doing. I mean, of course, when I was an active real estate agent, I'd had to put my phone number up there and everything. Yeah. So, and I even had logos for it on my Twitch channel, like, which part of the law, not law, the real estate firm I was part of. So I don't know.
So how about general area? Yeah. How about general area?
Well, very much Hudson Valley.
Okay.
Very much in like northern Hudson Valley.
All right, copy. So, I mean, it definitely has a different tone in that area, especially when you go a little bit north. It's a little bit more calmer, a little bit more town feel. So like take us to kind of like a little bit of your story. Like, how does it start? How does it get going?
A lot of it starts like at that point, Anthony and I were both kind of angry 30 somethings, and it does come through in some of the jokes. Like I said, we did get mean. And I did add a disclaimer several years ago that there are some jokes in this that I regret making, but I'm not going to say they never happened. I'm just going to say, look, I'm not going to do that again. Mm-hmm. Like at one point where we almost got an animated short done, the actor we brought in to play our character Hannah is a Jewish girl, and she asked us as long as you guys weren't making Holocaust jokes, and then we're like, we did, and we're sorry. Like, it's not at the time. Yeah, we were angry 30 somethings. We didn't know, and well, we should have known better, because just even then, even in the mid 2000s, we should have known that was wrong. And we realized that, we crossed the line Mel Brooks wouldn't cross, and we were ashamed of ourselves, but we're not going to say this never happened. Mm-hmm. I'm not as angry as I was back then. I've mellowed, and you won't see it in the comics so much, but when when we can finally move to animation, you will see the dynamic change. Like, still going to be the group of friends. They're still going to, they're still going to care about each other, have each other's backs, but we're not going to punch down.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the mistakes that I think we've both made. So we were punching down.
Now, the whole premise of it, I know that you kind of like gelled in a lot of jokes and stuff like that. So would you say, like, this is an adult comic, right? So it's not necessarily made for kids. But what was the premise like that brought you to want to create this type of comic book? Was it to get rid of the angry thoughts that you had and put it on paper or on the internet, if you will, to kind of alleviate the stresses and the stressors? Or was it more of like, hey, we have a group of friends, we're making dumb jokes and we just put it up on social, like on the internet? What was your backing force, if you will, that kind of drove you to originally create this?
Well, we definitely wanted to get our point of view out, right or wrong. We wanted to get that out.
Mm.
And then we did throw a lot of silly jokes in there too. Like I make several just poking fun at how nerdy I am.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being nerdy.
Yay. Well, here's the thing. Us nerds are better at making fun of nerds than anyone else. Because if nerds making jokes about nerds are actually funny. Everything else is Big Bang Theory. Oh, did I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not fond of that show. Like, I watched like one episode and I'm like, nope, I'm out.
No, I feel you. No, but yeah. I mean, the whole premise kind of goes into different things as I'm scrolling through the different pages, and it kind of goes through different themes. So is this something that inspired you, like, from the day to day, or was it like, a culmination of different things that have happened either in your life or in Anthony's life that kind of eventually, came onto paper, if you will, or were put onto the web?
Yeah, we did draw a lot from life experiences, and of course things that were going on around the world. We had a couple soapbox comics where each one of the character would say a comment about something that happened. Like, we had a whole thing about the Costa Concordia capsizing.
Mm-hmm.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
We did one about that. I cannot remember what our first soapbox comic was about, but I remember the Costa Concordia one.
So you're basically, you're delving into different aspects of, things that are happening in the day to day, and then kind of putting up the web comic about that in that general area.
Yeah.
Is there a specific storyline that you follow with the group of friends? Is it like, in a way similar to like Living Single Friends itself, where there's a bit like a band of friends that eventually go through these different adventures? Or is it kind of like a Rick and Morty type of thing where it's like just specifically 2 characters? They do have a group of people around them, but for the most part, it revolves around 2 characters themselves.
Yeah. I mean, it does revolve around the group. And we will, like, continuity wise, we will reference things that happened previously before. In fact, I mean, in animation, we'll also reference things that happened in the comic. When we get to that point, of course. But yeah, though you'll see occasionally some recurring background characters. We have this one guy that we wind up punishing for just being terrible. Like, he's a very slick looking guy, but we call him, like, we haven't, like, our name for him is Mr. DeBag.
Okay.
Because he is just a D-bag.
Okay. Okay.
So we have him, like, horrible things happening to him for stuff he's done. Like, we punish him for stuff he's done.
Okay.
And some of them are actually quite funny. Like, even now are still quite funny. Yeah,
because I'm looking through the comic itself, and I'm trying to get like a general theme of kind of like where you are. But I mean, you have it where, some people are visiting comic book stores, and you have some where there's a couple arguing over, having a kid, being pregnant. There's different, I mean, it kind of takes all different aspects of it, and even like toy deals on the street, that type of stuff.
Yep.
So are these things that you guys wanted to kind of bring out in the world, that, hey, these things happen, they're kind of funny in some cases, you don't want to miss out, and it's just things that you would just run into on the day-to-day and nobody would think anything of it, but it's more of like you were trying to capture the funnies, if you will, as you went along through life?
Yep. And we'll want to put a pin in the one about the back alley toy deal, because there's a story on that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a lot of things we do encounter. I did one because at the time I was working at Harbor Freight Tools, and this one guy was just absolutely garbage about how the how the free item coupon item had run out.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just horrible, like just being lousy about it,
Customer,
and
right?
mean. Yeah, customer. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to work retail too, man. I know
Yeah.
sometimes people just don't treat us as humans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm currently in a retail, and I want to actually create my own retail. I will go to that. So, put a pin in that. We can come back to that later. But yeah, I did a comic about that experience of what I wanted to say to that guy. I had her character Hannah say to him, like, as another customer, just laying into him for just being shitty.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of it that does draw from experiences. One notably is at that time, Anthony's mother has suffered a stroke, and there is no love at all in between them. Like it is. She and him never got along, even in his childhood, and his character is based off him. You'll see the characters clearly based off of me, and you'll see the character based off of him. And he's elated about it. We did a whole, like, he wanted a comic about it. And I was like, all right, let's do this, about how happy he was that this happened. Like, it's a lot of Schadenfreude, but he had to get that out of his system. And so, yeah, there's a lot we'll take from real life, because, like, as I say, truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah, in some cases, real life is very strange. It all depends, but being able to take your inspirations and putting it into a more of a creative, positive spin, right? Because there's things that people have done where they take all these negative things that happen in their life, and instead of being creative and bringing about how do you put this, kind of putting exposure on the actual problem, right? They do other things, and not necessarily always in the best light, right?
Yeah.
So having an outlet and being able to do something like that definitely shines a good light, in the sense of being able to let out your creativity and let that flow with frustrations, rather than all the other things that happen in this world, right? So you want to make sure that people understand that though your comic is in all different aspects of your life, there are different outlets, especially like for that type of scene. There is an explanation, there is a reason for it, because it's something that is probably, what I would say, breaking a generational curse that he has dealt with, that he wants to be able to express, right? So I completely get that. Yeah. And so, now that you're looking at this comic, eventually building it into an animation, what's the first things that you guys are going to be working through? Are you going to be tweaking the scripts? Are you going to be rewriting? Are you going to take inspirations? Like, where are we going to go with the animation?
Well, definitely, definitely going to be drawing on what we did. I do want to make changes. Like, as I mentioned, like back then we were inspired by Family Guy and stuff, which was, looking at it now, like I don't find it as funny as I used to, because it was propelling it propels the toxic family jokes.
Yeah.
And thanks to my buddy Andrew, who's also has a character in this, I have grown to adore Bob's Burgers. Okay. And just how much everyone in that show, like everyone in the Belcher family and mostly surrounding them, love each other. And just crazy things happen because the characters are who they are. And I'm starting to draw more inspiration from that, because there's sorry. There's going to be some antagonism. You need some sort of antagonist for the protagonists at times, but it doesn't always have to be like that. Like, just characters them being themselves or winding up in a strange situation. You can get story from that. You can get jokes from that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of inside jokes too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, with this comic itself, and kind of going into the realm of eventually creating animation, have you been pitching it to different artists have you been to Comic-Cons? Have you been pitching this? Have you been a vendor? Like, what have you done to eventually move this forward?
I haven't done. Oh, sorry.
No. Yeah. What were some steps?
Well, I haven't done any sitting as a vendor at any conventions, and a friend of mine who does a lot of conventions, Bill Diamond, said, "It's like that's one of the things you have to do." A lot of the biggest things on that right now is how much is the table, honestly. I'm like, because right now I'm still recovering financially from 2025. I did not have a good year. I lost a lot of money, thanks to my car, mostly.
Yeah, gotta love those cars.
I know. What else? I do want to do that. I just have to find the right,
venue
price.
Table price.
Venue, table price.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different Comic-Cons too. So I know a lot of locals, like, Icon Comic-Con's one of them. We should be returning back in 2027. I'll let you know. Definitely 100%.
Right, sounds good.
We try to stay reasonable. Under $200.
Okay.
So try to stay as reasonable as possible. So that way, independents like you, could actually be in front of people and actually be able to tell your story without hitting the book, if you will, the checkbook, with crazy fees. I know that a lot of conventions, pricing can be extraordinarily high, for no apparent reason, other than, of course, greed. But I try to be very reasonable with my vendors. It is something that, we could definitely talk about offline if you want. But really, I want to make sure that people understand that, as an independent, what are some trials and tribulations that you ran into in creating your comic on the web, other than some of the things that you've already brought up, but now eventually revving up to get to the point where you're going to be distributing.
And it's interesting, and definitely that you mentioned distributing. We've both been wanting to do physical volumes of the comic, but I don't know anything about how to self-publish. I mean, I have friends who have, and I've spoken to them and they've given me some leads. But all right, one of the things definitely mentioned is that I'm ADHD. So this is probably walk in the park, a breeze, a nothing for most other people. I need someone to help me with this because it just feels unsurmountable. Like it just feels like this big wall in front of me.
Yeah.
And I
I
know
feel
it's
you.
probably not. And I know it's probably not, but it feels like that. And my brain will just say, oh, we ain't doing that shit. It's too hard.
Yeah. No, trust me, as somebody that has ADHD myself, I 100%
Yeah.
understand and applaud you for even committing to this. This web comic itself is still, you're giving in a lot of time
Yeah.
and mind space, if you will, to put this together. So trust me, I get it. I do have a lot of publishers that I also know as well, so we'll definitely get you a list of
Awesome.
people as well. Because I mean, listen, it's all about supporting community, right? And that's Mr. 845 Social is all about the Hudson Valley. Being that you're a part of the Hudson Valley, that doesn't add anything to it, but it's something that is near and dear to my heart, and I want to make sure that everybody in the Hudson Valley has the capability of doing the things that they love and engaging the community and getting more people around things that we can really applaud, like our local creators. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is something that is important. As you're going through this transition from webcomic to possibly distributing to possibly animation, one of the big things that a lot of creators have done is Kickstarters and stuff like that. Do you feel that this would warrant eventually moving into a Kickstarter to kind of crowdfund you into your webcomics?
I've been looking at crowdfunding for a while. It's just I don't know where to start. Like that's what I would love to work with someone who has experience with crowdfunding. I mean, like I know what service I want to go to because I think I prefer Indiegogo to Kickstarter. Um, but oh, and just want to touch on what you meant just in the previous part of the conversation. Definitely what helped motivate and help move the comic along, get it where it was because I was working with Anthony. It's like we were working together. Like we butted heads a lot. We did disagree on a lot of things, but still I'm thankful to have worked with him. Because when we just make each other laugh, we were just we were fueling the fire, getting the stuff done. I was drawing, I was loving drawing. And as he does several of the pages he's drawn, or there are some that I've drawn part of it and he's drawn the other. But yeah, it's the collaboration that definitely moves the machine. But and I think I've just forgot what the question was. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. So, as you do these transitions, right,
Okay.
from webcomic to, eventually thinking about doing publishing, to eventually thinking about animation, right? Because there's stages. You said that you were going to Indiegogo as a preferred outlet, right?
Yep.
Don't worry. Listen, I got you.
Okay, cool.
But it's important to say, I may actually try to see if I can do an episode with somebody that's actually published. It's resources that could help people like you who want to take the next level and don't know where to start. So, have you even stopped by any of the local comic book shops? Maybe they have been of any assistance at all, or no, not really.
Well, there's one that I really like to go to, but he's more into just the selling of things, not really publishing. And he's like the one of the only like good one, really, really good ones in the area. Like, because there's the one in New Paltz, which I used to enjoy, but my last couple of visits there were not good. And there's the one in Middletown, which nobody likes to go to. But honestly, it was going to speaking with another artist, which I'm pretty sure you might have met him because he'll do a lot of local shows. Javier Cruz Winnick.
Oh yeah, I know Javier. He's been to two of my Comic Cons.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's definitely given me a lot of good spots to check for, or to check for self-publishing. So And I do want to go look into those. Like I said, it's the trying to do this all by myself is the tough part. Is where I'm faltering.
Yeah, no, I mean, it takes a town, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
always the saying. It takes a town. It's for anything. So understanding that your network is what's going to make or break your business, right? So not to get on my business soapbox because I do that too. But if there's a case that you're looking for resources, listen, I got you. Don't worry. We'll link up after this, and I'll send you a whole bunch of different people that I know to kind of support you in your journey. Something that I always like to make sure to ask people as they go through this podcast, and it's something that's important. You, as somebody that's a creator, you've taken the step to actually put your material online, eventually publishing it, eventually making it into animation. If someone were to go into your shoes when you first started, so they're just starting off themselves, what type of advice would you give them as somebody that's already gone through the gambit of publishing or uploading your own material?
There are going to be some hoops to jump through, but nowhere near as many as you think. Yeah, the designing or building the website, I did have trouble finding people. Someone who to build, help us build the website. Went through a couple people, like wound up ending a couple friendships because, these people were just like they didn't want to do it. Like they said they wanted to do it, and then when it came to crunch time, they're like, "No, we're not. I don't want to do this." So, and I wound up just figuring out how to use iWeb for better or for worse,
Mm-hmm.
and twice, because at one point wanted to, redo the site because we'd just gotten tired of how it looked and went through that rigmarole again. And I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to redesign it in iWeb. It's what it is. There are tools. I've heard now that there are other tools to web design. I definitely won't be using any that involve AI. I'd rather, it be a human creation. But my stance on AI, I think I've made known in other mediums. Uh, you don't have to spend, a whole bunch of money on the high end, video or not video, but photo editing and art programs. Honestly, we never even bothered with Photoshop. We did all of our stuff in GIMP, and which is absolutely free, and it's practically just about as good. And at this point, I think it's starting to get better because of, Adobe shooting themselves in the foot. But that's another topic. Uh, there are tools. There are what's the word? Tutorials online on YouTube for whatever you're trying to do. Sit down, watch them. Like right now, I'm trying to find tutorials on how to use Blender because I want to start, 3D sculpting and probably seeing if that can be used as a traditional animation tool because I think it can.
Yeah, so Blender does have that capability. I actually dabbled in it when I was 3D printing for quite some time because you can actually build the models in there and then print them out until my printer broke, and I haven't been able to resurrect it yet. So that's been fun. Blender's really good at doing like animation as well. I actually was able to do like an intro to my first video way back when I started this channel. So it was actually, you were able to generate video graphics and stuff like that. So it has some versatility to it.
Nice. Because I've looked at other things. I do use Clip Studio for some of the parts of for my art, and I know that has animation capability, for lack of a better word. that as well. So I need to learn that. I just haven't yet.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, it's it.
Definitely. And so like I just want to make sure that we capture the moment, right? So we had two pins in our topics today.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So one was the alleyway toy deal.
Yep.
And I forgot what the other one was. My ADHD also kicked in.
Oh, damn it. That like the toy deal one stuck in my head too.
Yeah.
All right. If someone, in the comments brings it up, I can come back and we can talk about that. But so the story on that, I reached out like back when we were doing this, the comic. I reached out to a friend of mine who like a Facebook friend and a toy trading friend. Asked her if she wanted to be in a comic because like we've got along really well. We've got we found certain toys and figures for each other, and she said yes. So I drew that, and if you look at the back of the back of the action figure card back, I did my best to recreate the actual Kenner card back for the Bruce Wayne figure from Dark Legend, not Legends of the Dark Knight Collection. That's what it was. Well, the woman who's in the comic, couple of years later, she lost her battle with her third bout of cancer.
Oh.
And I asked her mother, or was it mother? Yeah, asked her mother and one of our mutual friends. He goes online by the name Bowser Flatliner. If I can post it again in her memory, like post it on the Facebook page, and they gave the blessing. But yeah, she was a really good friend. Unfortunately, we never got to meet in person. Bowser knew her better. They were very close. And so every time I look at it, it's just kind of a remembrance and just how awesome a person she was.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. Because I mean, not only did you capture the moment and kind of like made a joke about it in the sense of that scene, right? But now you commemorated her memory in something that she loved to do, right? Which was basically trade and collect figurines, action figures, and what have you. And it's just great because now she'll live on forever, right? In this memory. That's some of the great things that come out of all these independent creations, right? Because you don't necessarily get those type of things from the main big guys, right? So it's something to see and kind of enjoy in and of itself that these human beings that you've passed through in the sense of in this world, this crazy world that we call home, you're able to capture their soul, a little piece of it in each one of the scenes that you have and give them life again. So it really, it applauds you in being able to capture these moments. And of course, you're asking for permission, you're getting approvals, and you're creating these scenes. And it's great to see that some of these memories you can keep with you, but then their family could also enjoy it too, because they see, that was definitely her. And that's definitely what she was about. And it's great to see somebody actually loved the same things that she loved and loved her that much that they were able to post it on the internet and make it into a comic, So it's awesome. Once we remember what the other thing is, we'll definitely
I think
have to
I remember
talk
it now.
it. Okay, here we go.
I think I remember it now. Like I said, with talking about retail, you used to work in retail. I currently work in retail, and I kind of want to do my own retail. And I've mentioned it in posts on your posts on Facebook, is that I want to open a toy store in my town.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And the reasoning behind that, not just the fact that I love toys. I love action figures. Now I look at all the stuff coming out. I'm like, damn it, 2025 hit me way too hard. And I want this, I want that. Like, yeah, I'm still trying to see if I can get reasonable prices for McFarlane's Batman animated series Bruce Wayne wave. Not happening. But and the reasoning behind that, and not just because my passion for toys, is because in my town, and if you see right above me, you'll see a Sebastian the Crab.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the very first students of Samuel Lee Wright. And when he moved to my town, he brought his entire family up from the city. He fell in love with my town and he saw great things for it. And I'm probably, roundabout doxing myself. At this point, I don't care. So much so that his wife, and one of their best friends opened a performing arts school in town, which is still open. And he saw so much potential in my town that he wanted to do this. He wanted to bring that about. And in my way, opening the toy store is part of it. That, bringing money into the town, because like Toys R Us is gone, KB Toys is gone. You
really only have the independents now, because either that or you got Walmart and Target, and they overpriced the toys to astronomical realms. So
I mean, as a small business, I would probably have to have it maybe couple dollars higher just to see if I can eke by a profit.
Yeah.
But if I can get the newer stuff, because that's a whole issue there. The big companies, Mattel, Hasbro, Jazzwares, Playmates, stuff, they don't want to deal with the small businesses anymore. Like something happened in the past, like I want to say, about past 15 years.
Yeah.
That they just, but somewhere between 2000 and about 2010, they just stopped giving a crap about small businesses and only wanted to deal with the big box, which with which they're losing money. But I got to find a way to get over that hurdle and get a hold of, their products. But I want to bring money into my town. I want people to want to come to my town. If you remember in the 90s, there was this one radio station would just constantly make jokes about my town. And of course, back in the 90s, I went, as a teen, I always wanted to be edgy and everything. So I joined in on it. Because I was a dumb kid. But I want this town to shine. I want this, to glow. I want people to love it.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam wanted that too. And that's why I'm doing the toy store, to try to do my little bit to make his dream come true.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, I'll put it to you this way. The Hudson Valley is only an hour or an hour and a half away from the city. Right, or maybe 2. It depends.
Yeah, roughly about 2 hours.
Depends on who's driving.
From where I am. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point too.
and what road? Because either Taconic or 87. Some people fly on those things.
True.
But when you leave the city, and I'm a transplant, so like when you leave the city and you come to a place called the Hudson Valley, first it's like culture shock, because you're used to walking everywhere, you're used to getting to places, and then all of a sudden now you have to drive everywhere, right? But being able to see the beauty, right? You could actually look up in the sky, and instead of seeing like skyscrapers, you see beautiful sky. You see birds. You see not just pigeons. You see all types of birds. It's amazing. And to be able to capture that stuff in your webcomic, but also like in the passion that you have for your town, it's something that's important that people need to see, is that it's worth investing in the Hudson Valley. It's worth coming to the Hudson Valley and seeing the mountains that we have to climb, the parks, the different areas of attraction that we have. Like we have the Vanderbilt Mansion, we have the Walkway Over the Hudson, we have all these different types of things to do up here, that it's imaginable. It's imaginable that you could do anything that you imagine up here. You could do paintballing, you could do video gaming, you do anything anywhere in the Hudson Valley and still be able to be creative and be able to enjoy it. And you have space to do it too. So it's also great because like your neighbor's not like right on you, in some cases.
Very true.
But Matt, before we end our podcast here and close the episode, I wanted to give you a chance to kind of give some final words as to like your web comic, where you guys are going and where you feel you want to go, and what do we have in store for you coming up next?
Well, where I'm going with that is we did short version of the story. We did have a production, or we did have a short in production. And after 2.5 years of the people we were working with dragging their heels, I canceled production and went back to scratch. It had been a bit of a rough road to try to get back to where we were. We finally have a new script written. My head writer, Susie, Andrew, who's also in the comic, and myself all kind of sat down and wrote it, waiting to hear what Anthony thinks about it. But I feel it's really good. It captures the same energy, just less moving parts. So once that's going, we'll see about recording dialogue. The way I see the animation industry going, the big companies, I don't even want to deal with them anymore. Like originally I wanted to do with Warner Brothers, but then, the whole debacle with Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery, I'm like, nope.
And now the Paramount merger too.
If it goes through, I'm still highly doubtful. I didn't want Disney touching it. While I love a lot of Disney properties, I do not want Disney touching my stuff. Didn't want to deal with Fox. At the time, Disney didn't own the Fox properties, but Fox, was well known for canceling stuff before, like a week before it even has chance to, find its audience, if at that point. So I didn't want them. I was thinking maybe Netflix or Amazon is like, now I want to produce it ourselves. And that's what a lot of people are doing now. They're producing, they'll crowdfund and they'll produce it, they'll release it on YouTube and any other, things that'll host it. And they're doing really well. So I kind of want to go that route.
Cool.
But also things I want to mention, as you see all this stuff behind me, this is my stream, my stream setup, which I stream on Twitch and then post, my VODs on YouTube. And the name I go under that is GhostMax8. And there's a story behind that, but I'll save it for another time. So definitely, you want to see me play some video games, you want to see me work on some arts. You want to see me unbox action figures, check me out there. Anything else? Like I do have, Instagram and Facebook. I'm not on them as well. I don't post on them as much as I used to, and I don't post my art there anymore due to, Meta's AI scraping everything it can to, regurgitate,
art styles and
AI
vomit.
Yeah. It regurgitates, it defecates, but it cannot create. And I just made that up. But
it'd be a good a t-shirt.
Yeah. AI regurgitates and defecates, but cannot create. That is a really good. I gotta look into that.
Don't worry. I'll edit it out. You can copyright it then.
You know what? Take it. It's free for the world. One of the things I want to mention, I do have to look into what kind of, aside from publishing volumes, like, curated, for the most part curated. There are some comics we won't print because there was a character in it that we brought in and then killed off when we started a new batch, and we're not going to print anything with him in it. But I want to figure out like maybe like doing stickers or t-shirts or any type of merch. Like maybe even 3D print stuff. But so yeah, that's definitely someone I would definitely love to talk to someone about that because it's like I said, it's probably nowhere near as difficult as my brain is making it look like. But it just looks like that brick wall, that goes, miles high. And you understand that feeling.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's when
But
you have so many things to do and you're like, where do I start? I don't even know where to start. Oh my God, this is so difficult. I get it.
And then suddenly it's 2 hours later.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, I really should have get to things.
Yeah.
No, but Matthew, sorry.
No,
Matthew,
you can call me Matt. That's cool too.
Matt.
I go by both.
All right, Matt, listen, it's been great interviewing you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. SacrificingSanity.com is where you could find the web comic book as he journeys to the other phases of his life. I'm sure that he'll be uploading it to that page. And I'll also have all your links on this YouTube episode, as well as when we post it on Facebook and Instagram. Again, everybody, this is the Behind the Comic Books podcast, where we interview independents, publishers, creators, writers, authors, what have you. I know that authors and writers are the same thing, synonymous. In some cases, not, but I like to include also comic book vendors as well for the Icon comic book convention that we have. I am hoping to bring it back in 2027, looking for a bigger venue where we could actually enjoy a lot of the independents. This episode also, I would like to thank a lot of the sponsors that we've had in the past, particularly one. John Fimble was a comic book collector and a good friend of mine who stayed with me since the beginning. The first day he actually came to my first Comic-Con, he was like, "Can I get a table?" And I'm like, "It's only 2 hours before we end, and you want a table?" Anyway, John was a really good friend of mine. He has passed this year, and one of the last things he said to me was always keep to your true message, which is to help the independents of the Hudson Valley and also the independents of the comic book industry. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. So just like most of these episodes that we have, I would like to continue interviewing independent artists, comic book creators. So if you guys want to be interviewed, it's free. Just come message me on Facebook or just send me a message somewhere in the webs. You'll find me, Mr. 845 Social, and we'll definitely get your story out there. That being said, everybody, thank you very much. Matt, thank you again.
Thank you.
Check us out every episode, 12 on Wednesdays. All right, guys.
All right, have a good one.